Two brothers, one green suit and one blue suit, and almost 30 years of getting muddy to make us fall in love with animals. From a scrappy 90s show to an animated phenomenon still airing today, the story of Wild Kratts is the story of how two zoologists turned their obsession with nature into one of the most beloved educational franchises in kids' TV. Today, we're breaking down every stage of that evolution, from the very first program filmed in the jungle to the animated creature power suits we all know now. It all begins on June 3, 1996, with the premiere of Kratts Creatures on PBS. Chris and Martin Kratt had already been filming animals on their own for years, and that footage turned into a half-hour program aimed at very young kids, something that barely existed in educational television at the time. The format was simple and a little chaotic. The brothers traveled the world showing animals in their natural habitat, joined by a teenager named Allison and by Tark, an animated dinosaur who appeared on a TV screen to comment on each adventure. The editing was fast, almost hyperactive, with a style some critics at the time called too wild. But it worked. Kids latched onto that raw energy, watching the brothers fall in the mud, chase after animals, and share facts with a genuine excitement that couldn't be faked. The show only lasted one season and 50 episodes, but it was enough to lay the groundwork for everything that came next. 3 years later, on January 25, 1999, the brothers came back with something completely different: Zoboomafoo. This time, the change wasn't in content, it was in format. Instead of traveling through jungles and savannas, the action moved into a studio, with a new star stealing the spotlight, a Cockerel's Sifaka lemur named Jovian, who played the character in the live segments, while a puppet took over for certain fictional moments in the show, something that often left kids wondering whether Zoboomafoo was real or not. Jovian passed away in 2014 at age 20, but his bloodline carried on. The Duke Lemur Center in North Carolina recently announced the birth of Junius, his great-grandson. The audience shifted too. Kratts Creatures targeted school-age kids, but Zoboomafoo brought the age down to preschoolers, with shorter segments, songs, and a much slower pace built to hold the attention of the littlest viewers. In a way, it was a step back from wild adventure, but a step forward in reach. The show became the entry point for millions of preschoolers who would later recognize the Kratt brothers in their next project. By 2003, Chris and Martin felt the pull to get back into the wild. After years stuck in a TV studio, they missed living alongside animals for weeks at a time instead of just filming them in passing. That's how Be the Creature was born, a much more immersive documentary-style show that aired on National Geographic Channel and Canada's CBC. Here, the style took another evolutionary leap. Gone was the homemade, colorful aesthetic of the 90s, replaced by a more serious nature documentary format, with bigger productions and real moments of danger. The very first episode makes that clear. Alone in Katmai National Park, Alaska, the brothers come face to face with the brown bear, the largest carnivore in North America, while just feet away, two bears brawl over territory. Season 1 is considered by many to be some of the best work the brothers ever did, though ironically, it's also the hardest to find today, since it never got wide distribution and Season 2 barely made it out at all. The biggest leap came on January 3, 2011, when the brothers put on their creature power suits for the first time and became animated characters. Wild Kratts marked the definitive break. For the first time, Chris and Martin weren't appearing on camera in person. They were drawn, joined by a new cast of characters like Aviva, Koki, and Jimmy Z, and by a light sci-fi premise that let them transform into any animal to experience the world from its point of view. That shift from documentary to animation was also a shift in scale. Wild Kratts started blending the education of the earlier shows with adventure plots, villains, and a much brighter, more accessible look for a new generation. More than a decade later, with over 150 episodes aired, it remains the most recognizable face of the franchise, the one that introduced an entirely new generation to the world of the Kratt brothers. From an animated dinosaur on a 90s TV screen to a lemur puppet, through immersive documentaries in Alaska and landing on a digital power suit. Wild Kratts spent almost 30 years cycling through different formats without ever losing its core. Two brothers who never stopped getting excited about an animal. So, which of these eras did you grow up with? Drop it in the comments, and if you enjoyed this rundown, make sure to like and subscribe for the next video.